Welcome to your gentle flow and stretch class. My name is Laura Beth. I think most of y'all know me by now. As with all the classes, we'll go from head to toe, do a little bit of everything. So go gentle with yourself. We will flow enough just so that you feel like you can get some movement into your body. But the idea for this class is for it to just kind of open everything up slowly, intentionally, and honestly, that should be every class you take, right? You're being intentional with it, mindful. But today it's kind of stripping off that expectation of having to do all of the extra stuff, right? All of the things. So I hope that is what you allow to happen for you, what you bring into your practice today. So there you go. We are going to start off in a seated position. So Sukhasana, cross your feet at your ankles, root your sits bones down into the ground, and then allow for your low belly to draw slightly in so that you're supporting your lumbar spine. And then as you sit up nice and tall, your vertebrae stack one on top of the other, kind of like a staircase. And then eventually, as you get to the top, your shoulders roll back and down. Your collarbones can lift and broaden ever so slightly. And I invite you to close down your eyes here. Let's set a moment and intention for your practice. You can close down your eyes. Relax your brows. Wiggle your jaw from side to side. And so, as you're seated here, setting the intention for your practice, what is it that brought you to your mat? Why did you unroll your mat this morning? Whatever time it is that you eventually take this. And I'm going to be really honest and frank with all of you, and I have stepped away from my mat a lot during this whole, let's just be honest, the last 6 months, we'll say, of the pandemic. It's been so much teaching and so little practice for myself that I've noticed that I'm getting triggered easily. Things are coming up for me that maybe 6 months ago I would take a lot more in stride, right? And so I invite you, and this is from Lama Rod Owens, that no matter what arises, can I touch it? Can I be with it? Can I hold space for it, right? Because that's going to determine how I enter into an experience of liberation. That is how I'm going to enter into an experience of no longer being held down by the things that trigger me, no longer reacting, but responding, right? So whatever it is that brings you to yoga, ultimately at some point, your yoga helps you do those things as well. It stops being just physical. And it allows you to really move through your life experiences in a more graceful way, a more loving way. And so that is what I added yesterday. When your triggers pop up, and they will, and they bring you to your knees when you least expect it, why they're triggers, right? It's what happens. But when it happens, can you face it? Can you ask yourself, where does it hurt? So where specifically in your body do you feel the sensation rising up? Where does the pain reside? And when you identify the origin, can you touch it? For me, it is always on the right side of my chest, and it is buried deep underneath my right shoulder blade, right? And I imagine that everybody sitting on their mats this morning listening automatically thought of a spot that always kind of flares, right? That is where my pain resides, there. But when you identify the origin, can you touch it? Can you place your hand there? But not just any hand, it's a mother's hand. It's loving, it's kind, it's gentle. Where even your darkest pieces are still lovable. So that's my invitation to you this morning. Take it or leave it. Right? It's all good. Your hands can rest on your knees and your lap. Roll your shoulders back. Let the crown of your head lift a little bit higher. And draw your belly in. Take a deep inhale. Allow for your belly to expand, for your rib cage to lift and to open so that all of your lungs fill with breath. And then you exhale to relax, to release, to let it soften back down. Inhale, your breath will rise. Your ribcage expands, your lungs go to full capacity. And then exhale, let it roll back down as you empty to release. On your next inhale, reach your arms out and up, lift your gaze. And exhale, bring your hands down to your heart center. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. And exhale, seal your palms down to your heart. Last one, inhale, arms out, reach up. And exhale, hands to your chest. Now this time, inhale, if your eyes are closed, flicker them back open. And then exhale, rock forward. Find hands and knees, your box pose. You might have to shimmy back a little bit if you're kind of towards the top of your mat. Now stack your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists. Bring your knees underneath your hips. With your inhale, let a soft belly drop down towards the ground. Lift your chin, lift your tail. And with the exhale, press the earth away. Dome out your upper back, navel to your spine. And then inhale, allow for your belly to drape back down. There's a sway to your low back as your heart presses forward. And then exhale to reverse. Dome out your upper back, tuck your chin, tuck your tail, pull your belly up. One more just like this. On the inhale, belly down, let your belly drape down. There's a sway to your low back. And then exhale, reverse it. Now you're more than welcome to stay with cat-cow if that's where you need to be today. If you prefer to move out of this vertical plane, Sahaja movement, so it's spontaneous. You start to roll around, maybe moving and dipping through your shoulders. It's kind of a sensual-like movement, right? So it's just your body moving in the space that it needs to move. So while being spontaneous, it doesn't mean that it's willy-nilly, right? It's that you feel something here, so you move here and you breathe. And as you do that, it sparks something else over here. So you move and you breathe there. And then that's just kind of what guides your movement, is the direct feedback that you're getting from your body. It's not you forcing or feeling like you're supposed to make a shape or do a certain thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. Move through whatever it is. And if you were doing kind of circular movements, make sure you go in both directions so that everything is all evened out. And then we all come right back to our neutral spine, our box pose. Stack your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists once more. And then draw that little soft space between your navel and your pubic bone up so that your low back is supported once more. Now with your inhale, step your right foot towards the back of your mat. We're going to roll forward and backward on the ball mounds of your foot. So allow for the stretch to happen through your right calf. And breathe. And you might even kind of take your right ear towards your right shoulder, your left ear towards your left shoulder if you need some movement, some stretching through the neck. And then stack your shoulders back over your wrists. Inhale, float your right leg up to the sky. And on the exhale, cross your right foot all the way over to the left. So let your toes kind of slide all the way to the floor, missing your mat. Glance down to your left hip. You want the hip, the thigh, and the knee to all stack on top of one another. And then pull your right shoulder forward, your left shoulder back, and get a deep stretch through the right side of your body and breathe. Good, y'all relax your brows. And on your next inhale, lift your right leg back to hip height. And then as you exhale, take your right leg out to the side body. Now just drop your right foot down to the ground with all 5 toes pointing towards the top of your mat. Root your right hand to the earth. Inhale, float your left arm up to the sky. And exhale, thread the needle. Take your left arm underneath the right. Bring your shoulder down to the ground, your ear, your temple. Now your left fingertips could slightly look for your right big toe, but we're not worried about it, right? And then your right arm reaches forward or wraps around the small of your back in a half bind. Roll to the outer edge of your left shoulder and breathe. All right, y'all. Slow release of your right hand back to the sky. Let your right hand come back down in front of your face. Now inhale, float your left arm up to the sky. With your exhale, bring your left hand to the ground. Now if this doesn't feel good in your body, you can stay right here. If it does, shift your hips back towards your left heel. Keep your right leg out. So it's a funky child's pose. Reach your arms forward, drape your chest down, let your forehead come down. Now, some of you have natural space in your inner thigh and your groin, in which case you could roll your right toes up and then slide your right foot over. Just don't, overdo it, right? And so if that happens, all of the weight and the support comes off of your left heel, and now your torso and your pelvis are kind of down towards the ground, right? Just breathe here. If you feel anything around the inside of your right knee, back out. Now if you slid a little bit deeper, slowly come back over. Now with your inhale, lift yourself back up. Hips over your left knee, shoulders over your wrists, and bring your right leg long behind you. On the exhale, just around your spine, bring your knee in towards your chest and dome out your upper back. Hold for an inhale, and then exhale, step your right foot towards your right thumb. Allow for your knee to stack over your heel or your ankle. And then as you inhale, your left hand comes down to the inside of your right foot and float your right arm up to the sky. So your right shoulder stacks on top of the left. And depending on the camera and everything, it might look like it's the opposite side. So just listen, right? Your right shoulder stacks on top of the left. Maybe your right clavicle on top of the left. Your gaze, traditionally drishti, would follow your right hand. So take an inhale here, and as you exhale, bring your right hand back down to the ground, and then shift yourself back. Straighten your right leg, flex your toes back towards your shin. Breathe here. Now inhale, walk yourself back forward, but this time float your arms up over your head. Reach your fingertips to the sky. So Salamba Anjaneyasana, keep the deep bend in your right knee. And then on the exhale, take your elbows back and down, lift your chest. Pull the pit of your belly in and up to support your back. Good. Now inhale, reach your arms back to the sky. And exhale, frame your front foot with your hands. Inhale, float your right arm up to the sky. Let your gaze follow your fingertips. And then exhale, your right hand comes down. Shift your hips back, straighten your right leg, flex your toes back towards your shin. We're gonna do that one more time. Inhale to walk yourself forward. Maybe fingertips kind of brush the ground, lift your arms. And then exhale, your elbows back and down, lift your chest, lift your gaze. Inhale, arms back to the sky. Exhale, hands to the ground, frame your front foot. Inhale, your right arm reaches to the sky. This time on the exhale, you could take your right arm around the small of your back and find another half bind if you choose, and breathe. Now with your inhale, reach your right fingertips back to the sky. And on the exhale, frame your front foot with your hands. Inhale to curl up your back toes. Lift your back knee. Now giant step forward. Exhale, step your left foot to the top of your mat and forward fold. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Pull the crown of your head forward, your tailbone back, your belly in and up. And then exhale, you can have a bend to your knees, but drape your chest to your thighs. Let your head hang down. If you're looking for a ragdoll today, grab opposite elbows. And you could sway side to side. Right back to center. Exhale completely. Your feet could be together or about hip width distance apart. And on the inhale, come all the way up to standing. The pit of your belly pulls in and up. Reach your arms up, look up. And then exhale, bring your hands to heart center, lift your chest. So your thumbs are here at your sternum, right? Inhale, reach your arms up, look up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to lengthen your spine. And exhale, bring your hands down. Step your feet back. Hold for just one breath. Your knees can come down to the ground immediately. We're all coming to knees in a moment. Now inhale here. Point your elbows back. Untuck your toes and exhale, melt all the way down to the ground. Let your forehead come down. The back of your neck is long. Inhale, roll your shoulders back. Lift your chest. And exhale, melt yourself back down. Inhale, roll your shoulders back and lift. And exhale, melt it down. One more time. Inhale, roll your shoulders back, lift your chest, maybe your chin, and then exhale, press your hips to child's pose, hips to your heels. Let your forehead come down. You roll your forehead from side to side. All right. And then inhale, press back up into your box pose. As you exhale, pull your belly in and up. Now with your inhale, step your left foot to the back of your mat, and we're gonna roll kind of forward and backward on the ball of your left foot. Zip the pit of your belly up. And you can again kind of turn your face side to side. If you need to get a little movement into the side of your neck, just be gentle. And on your next inhale, stack your shoulders over your wrists. Lift your left leg up to hip height. And then as you exhale, cross your left foot over to the right, all the way to the floor, so off of your mat. And then stack your right hip, your knee, your thigh bone. You might have to move it a little bit. Pull your left hip forward and your left shoulder forward, and your right shoulder back. And you might gaze over your right shoulder as you breathe. On your next inhale, lift your left leg back to hip height. On the exhale, take your left leg out to the side body and then just place your left foot on the floor. All 5 toes point forward. So your left hand stays rooted down to the ground. Inhale, float your right arm up to the sky. And then exhale, thread the needle. Your right arm comes underneath the left. Come down to your shoulder, your ear, your temple. Your right fingertips could look for your left big toe. It's not a big deal, right? And then your left hand can reach forward. It can wrap around the small of your back in a half bind. You do you. Now when you're ready, let your left hand come right back down in front of your face. Inhale, press your left palm down, reach your right arm to the sky. And then exhale, your right hand comes down. Shift your hips back if you're into it. You can stay lifted, it's fine. And find your funky child's pose. Reach your arms forward, let your forehead come down. Breathe here for a few moments, and then remember that if you need that extra space, you turn your left toes up to the sky and you slide your left foot farther away from your mat. And breathe. Watch your left knee though. Now if you took it a little bit deeper, slide back first. And then we all inhale, press up into your hands and your right knee. Swim your left leg back. Lift it to hip height. Your belly is pulled in and up. And then exhale to arch your back. Bring your knee in towards your chin, your chest, your nose. Dome out your upper back. Hold for your inhale. And then exhale, step your left foot forward. Now you might lift your right knee and kind of slide it back. You want your left knee to stack over your heel or your ankle. And then your right hand stays rooted down to the inside of your left foot. And with your inhale, float your left arm up to the sky. Now watch your left knee. It tends to kind of splay out. Engage your inner thigh on the left leg so you can keep your left knee drawing in and on top of your leg, on top of your foot. Good. Traditional drishti, gaze would go to your left hand. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, frame your front foot. Shift your hips back, straighten your left leg, flex your toes. Breathe here. If you feel anything in your gluteal fold, so where your glute and your hamstring connect, or around your left knee, take a bend to your left knee. You want to feel it in the belly of your hamstring. On your inhale, walk yourself back forward. Swim your fingertips forward, lift them up, shoulders over your hips. And then exhale, take your elbows back and down, lift your chest. Inhale, take your arms to the sky. And exhale, bring your hands down to the ground. Reach your left arm up to the sky with your inhale. Exhale, drop your left hand down and shift your hips back. Straighten your left leg, flex your toes. One more round. Inhale, walk yourself back forward. Float your arms up overhead. Exhale, take your elbows back and down. Lift your chest. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, frame your front foot with your hands. Inhale, lift your left arm up to the sky. And then exhale, if you want, you can take your left arm, wrap it around the small of your back in a half bind, opening up through your chest. Gaze high. On your next inhale, float your left arm back to the sky. Exhale, let your left hand come down. Shift your hips back. Flex your left toes back towards your shin. Breathe a moment or so here. On your inhale, walk yourself back forward. Frame your front foot. Curl up your back toes. Lift your back knee. And then it's a giant step forward. Exhale, take your right foot to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale to lengthen your spine. And then exhale to fold yourself down and hold. Let your head just hang down. If you need to kind of doing opposite legs, knees, do an alternating bend and straightening. Now exhale, let everything just kind of hang down, let it go. And then inhale, come all the way up to standing. Reach your arms out and up. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down to your heart center. Interlace all but your pointer fingers, so all but your index, yeah? And then with your inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Now zip the pit of your belly in and up. On the exhale, bump your hips to the right and take your fingertips to the left. So getting a side body bend. Watch your knees and your feet. And then inhale, take both arms high. Exhale, bump your hips to the left and take your fingertips to the right. Breathe. Now as you inhale, take both arms back to the sky. On the exhale, release your hands to the small of your back. Now cricket wing your elbows back so that you get an automatic opening through your chest and the fronts of your shoulders, right? So pull the pit of your belly in. So there's this space between your navel and your pubic bone, and you want to draw it back. So once that's here, your low back is supported right here on the opposite side, right? So your hands are to the small of your back. Roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Now from here, continue to lift your chest so that you begin to round your upper back over an imaginary beach ball, right? It might feel like there's a gentle press of the hips forward. But this isn't about your low back at all, right? It's about your middle and upper thoracic spine. So allow for your collarbones to continue to lift and to move up and back. And then with your inhale, bring your shoulders back over your hips. With the exhale, slide your hands down the back side of your legs and gently forward fold, but take your time. Let your head hang down. The crown of your head just reaches towards the earth. Perfect. And then inhale, take a halfway lift. And exhale, bring your hands down. Step your left foot to the back of your mat and then soften your left knee down. So both hands now to the inside of your right foot. Slide your right foot over slightly and pull your heart forward. Now as you turn your right toes out to like 1 or 2 o'clock, you might roll to the outer edge of your right foot. You could splay your right knee open. Sometimes I take my right hand, not to the knee, but to the fleshy part of your inner thigh and actively open it out to the right. So it's like a little massage to the inner thigh to externally rotate your femur, your thigh bone in the hip socket, right? So you get a little bit more opening. You might even feel this, some sensation through your psoas, the pit of your belly, around your low back, but watch your left elbow the whole time. You could also come down to your left forearm, right? And then only if it's just like really calling to you, you can bend your left knee and you could reach your right hand back and catch your left ankle. But just make sure that it's something that you actually need while you breathe. And then take a very gentle release of your left foot back down to the ground and bring your right hand back underneath your right shoulder. Bring both hands down. Now turn your right toes forward. Perfect. Now with your inhale, pull your heart forward. And your right toes actually can stay out to a slight diagonal if you choose. Curl up your left toes, lift your left knee, and with your exhale to giant step forward, your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Turn your heels in, your toes out. And then drop your hips low. Bring your hands to heart center for Malasana Yogic Squat. So also called garland pose. As you're here, you're gonna notice, right, that your right hip probably feels a little bit more open than the left. It's all good, we're gonna get there. But when you're in this space, typically we come palm to palm. So I'll face forward so that it kind of, you can see what I'm talking about. So you want your shoulders to stack over your hips. You've got to squeeze at the base of your pubic bone, so mula bandha, right? This is what keeps you from kerplotting down on the floor. You squeeze and it gives you a lift, so a little sense of control. Now you could have your palms pressing, thumbs to your heart. For those of you who need more sensation, like this does not feel like enough, you can go palm to fist. Eventually you can go fist to fist. If any of this creates something in your low back, so around your sciatic area, like a splitting sensation down here, you would remove all pressure, ideally, from your inner thighs and just bring your hands together and take your elbows away from the legs. It can exacerbate that, right? So you're here for like maybe 2 more breaths. See what happens if you inhale and you lift the crown of your head, and exhale, roll your shoulders back and down. 1 more inhale here. Completely exhale. Now with your inhale, your hands come down to the ground. Lift your hips and then turn your toes forward. Exhale, you could have a soft bend to your knees, but hinge at your hips, drape your chest to your thighs, and forward fold. Either hands come down to the ground to blocks or grab opposite elbows. And you can take a sway side to side. Now with your next inhale, come right back into center. Use the pit of your belly to support your back, and take the crown of your head forward. So with your halfway lift, fingertips could be to the shins even, so that you get a tabletop of your spine. Now exhale, bring your hands down, step your right foot back, and soften your right knee down to the ground. Ooh. You're going to slide both hands to the inside of your left foot, and heel toe it slightly over. Your left knee tracks over the heel or the ankle. Pull your heart forward, zip the pit of your belly in and up. Awesome. Now you could spin your left toes out to like 10 or 11 o'clock. You can roll your left foot open, your left knee open. You can come down to your right forearm at any point that it feels appropriate to you to do so. And then maybe your left hand comes to your left inner thigh, so you can spin your thigh open. Breathe in. Know that you're breathing in. And breathe out. And know that you're breathing out. If you're here and you're just like, man, I think I need a little bit more, then you're going to bend your right knee, reach your left hand back, and catch your ankle. You could also be spinning the knee out some more. And then it's a very soft release of your right toes back down to the ground. Your left hand comes back to the earth. Press everything down, face your chest back forward. Lift your left knee so that your toes point a little bit more back towards the top of your mat. Now inhale, curl up your right toes, lift your right knee. And then it's a giant step forward, right foot outside of your right hand, heels in, toes out, drop your hips low, snap, crackle, pop on my knees. And then lift your chest, thumbs to your heart, you're here. All right, so y'all, I'm gonna give you an option here to stay in this space. If you would like to work something maybe just a little bit different, slide your hands back, and then you're gonna inhale, lift your hips, and heel toe your feet together. Now once your feet come together, big toe ball mounds are touching. Roll to the ball mounds of your feet and then divide your knees and sit your bottom down onto your heels. It's a very deep hip opener, right? So, and then when you're here in this space, it feels kind of like a little crouch, right? You could, some of you, if the Achilles allow, the heels will even go flat and your knees will open. And you start to walk your chest forward and take your forehead down. You could stay with your heels lifted, so you choose what you need here. But see if this gets you a lengthening of the low back, a release. Now, if your balance feels really strong today, you could even wrap your left arm around and catch your left heel, wrap your right arm around, catch your right heel, and bring your forehead down. When you're ready, bring your hands back out underneath, kind of maybe a little bit in front of your shoulders. And then inhale, lift your hips. And then let everything settle back down to the ground as you exhale. Separate out your feet. And then inhale, come all the way up to standing. Reach your arms out and up. And then exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. So just one little bit of balance practice before we come down to the floor. So root down into the four corners of your left foot, and then your right foot can come like a kickstand with your right knee pointing out, or you can bring it up towards your inner calf. If you want, it can come all the way up and towards your left inner thigh. But once you get there, let your right knee pull slightly back. So what you'll feel is an opening on the front side of your right hip and a catch on the gluteus medius. So where you're opening on the front, you're contracting on the exact opposite side. Now your hands can do whatever you want. They can reach out and up. Hands can stay at heart center. You can take reverse prayer hands behind your back. Basically, I don't care, right? Do something with your arms so that you maybe stop focusing so much on your balance. And you'll notice that once you start focusing on something else, the balance takes care of itself. Breathe. Squeeze the pit of your belly in and up. Now if your arms did anything else, slowly release them back out. Hands come to heart center. Turn your right knee forward and then place your right foot down on the ground. If you need to roll out your left ankle, go for it. And then your right foot roots down into the earth. Slide the sole of your left foot towards your right ankle. You can bring it up towards your calf. You can come all the way up and towards your inner thigh. It's been a while since we did tree pose, I feel like. So ideally your hips stay leveled and squared. You'll probably notice mine are wonky, so I have to kind of like manhandle myself, right? Let your tailbone drop down. You might even go for a slight tuck of your pelvis to increase what's happening on the inside of your left hip. And then when you're ready, arms do whatever you want them to do, right? Just find something that you need. And breathe. A little tip is something to look at that's not moving will help with balance. Now arms that did anything else, release them, reach them out and up. Seal your palms at heart center. And then inhale, spin your left knee back forward. And exhale, place your left foot down on the ground. Roll out your right ankle. And then inhale, reach your arms out and up. And exhale, fold yourself down. Inhale to lengthen your spine halfway. And then exhale, bring your hands to the ground, step your feet back, and then just lift your hips up into downward facing dog. So your feet might be about hip width distance apart. Your hands are about shoulder width distance apart. Unless you move into that space and it kind of doesn't fit, you pick something else, right? Move your hands, move your feet. So the whole idea is to not overcharge your joints, right? Now inhale, roll to the balls of your feet. Take a soft bend to your knees. And then with control, exhale, bring your knees down to the ground. Take your big toes to touch. And then exhale once more, hips to your heels. Walk your hands forward. And let your forehead come down to the ground. Then we're going to move into kind of the second round of how we warmed up, taking out some things, right? But a little bit of how we opened. So maybe you just kind of quietly observe if there's a difference in your body from the beginning of your practice to this point now, right? And it's okay if the answer is no, right? It's all good. Hands and knees when you're ready. On the inhale, float your right leg back. And then as you exhale, bring your right foot out to the side body and drop your right foot to the ground again. Point your right toes forward. Inhale, lift your left arm up to the sky. And then exhale, thread the needle. Bring your left arm underneath the right for a second round. So in this space, your left fingertips are looking for your right big toe, maybe, right? It's not necessary, it's just there if you want it. But so this being our second round here, your right arm can reach forward. It can wrap around the small of your back in a half bind. Fingertips look for your left hip crease. Some of you might notice that this being the second round, you reach your right fingertips towards the top of your mat and a little bit over towards the left corner. And then at that point, you roll slightly towards the back of your skull, and you'll feel your chin moving towards your right clavicle, maybe even your right armpit. And you'll notice that the voice changes a little bit. That's okay. But just notice what happens. And don't force it. Don't push or pull. if you accidentally just roll over, laugh, and get back up. Now if you went any deeper, slowly unravel yourself out. Let your right hand come back in front of your face, and then inhale, lift your left arm up to the sky. Exhale, plant your left hand down onto the ground. And then inhale to your 3-point balance. Float your right leg back behind you, nice and slow. And then exhale, bring your right knee towards your right wrist and your right ankle towards your left wrist. Slide your left leg long behind you. So if you prefer to do the half pigeon on your back, crossing your right ankle over your left knee, feel free to do so. If you prefer double pigeon, you're gonna just slide your left shin on top of the right and find this space, whatever works for you. If you're here, your right shin can be anywhere up to parallel with the top of the mat, or your heel all the way in towards your pelvis, right? Anywhere in between. Inhale, lengthen your spine, pull your heart forward, and then exhale, melt yourself down, let your forehead come down. Now, you can leave your toes tucked or untucked. Your arms can reach forward, out to the side, or all the way fingertips towards the back of your mat. Breathe here. Close down your eyes if you can. Relax your brows and your jaw. Now you're more than welcome to stay right there, or you could reach your fingertips forward and then walk them over towards the left. And I just want you to go slowly. Walking towards the left, you'll start to feel this in your right hip and your right side body. And then at some point, some of you might hook your right tricep in towards the sole of your right foot. And then I'll face the other way so you can see that. It becomes a twisted half pigeon, right? So you're walking your fingertips all the way to the left. And if you get there to where your right tricep, the elbow just kind of magically finds the sole of your right foot, have at it, right? And then you can place your left palm on top of the right. And then eventually the forearms would stack. Doesn't have to happen right away. Your gaze would lift. It's going to really increase what's happening in your right hip. It's also going to get into your right upper back. I mean, the left too, but you'll probably feel it more in the right. Just keep breathing wherever you went. And it's okay if you're even like right here, right? It's building blocks, piece by piece. Take one more inhale. And then slowly release, face back forward. Take a breath here to reset. And then exhale, walk yourself over to the right for a moment. And drape your chest maybe on top of your right near thigh. Come back into center as you inhale. And then curl up your back toes. Lift your back knee. Or actually, you could leave your back knee down because we're just going to press back into box pose. And then if you need, you're going to circle out your right knee, your right hip. Find some more circulation there. And then place your right foot back down on the ground, your right knee back down to the earth. Let's take one cat and cow. So with your inhale, let a soft belly drop down, lift your chin, lift your tail. And then exhale, reverse the movement. Dome out your upper back, tuck your chin and your tail. Open up through your thoracic spine. Inhale back into your neutral spine. Exhale, pull your belly up. And then inhale, extend your left leg long behind you. And then exhale, take your left leg out to the side body. Drop your left foot down on the ground. Root down through your left palm. Inhale, reach your right arm up to the sky. And then exhale, thread the needle. Your right arm underneath the left. Your fingertips find your left big toe maybe, and you're here. Now your left arm, it can reach forward. It can wrap around the small of your back in a half bind. You do what you need. If you want to try that little bit we did on the other side, your left fingertips kind of reach towards the top of your mat, maybe a little bit over towards the top right corner. As you start to roll to the back of your skull, don't go too deep because it's easy to do. And you turn your chin slightly towards your left clavicle, your left armpit. But you keep breathing as you open up into that space. It's kind of what I mentioned earlier. When you notice that spot in your body, the one where your pain resides, where it originates, can you physically touch it, like with your hands? Can you put your hands there and heal yourself? But also in your practice, can you touch it? Can you get there? So that we can move some of that stuff through, right? Now if you worked into this little bit of a deeper space, slowly come back out. Let your left hand go in front of your face, and then you inhale, root your left palm down, reach your right arm up to the sky. And then exhale, place your right hand down on the ground. Inhale, float your left leg back, find your 3-point balance. And then exhale, bring your left knee towards your left wrist, your left ankle towards your right wrist. Slide your right leg long behind you. And then your left shin can be up to parallel with the top of your mat, anywhere in between. If you did a different variation of pigeon on the first side, do it here. And then inhale, lengthen your spine, pull your heart forward. Exhale, melt yourself down, let it all go. Forehead down, arms back. And as you breathe in, you know you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, you know you're breathing out. Now you can absolutely stay right here. If you want, you start to walk your hands over to the right. Go gently, slowly, and then at some point, maybe, you kind of walk your hands back, lift your chest a little bit. And if it just happens, in your left elbow, your left tricep, find the sole of your left foot, you twist into your half pigeon. And then your right palm seals on top of the left, and you open. Gaze up. When you're ready, you can slowly release that. Inhale, walk yourself gently back through center. Stay for a breath as you exhale. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, walk yourself over to the left a little bit more so you get a counter twist. And then you inhale, come right back through center. And then curl up your back toes, walk your hands back. And then float your left leg back. And then circle out your left hip. And then once both hands and knees are down on the ground, inhale, drape your belly down, lift your chin. And exhale, tuck it all in, dome out your upper back. Ooh, I feel that spot. And then you inhale, come back into your neutral spine. And then exhale, find a seated position. You can cross your feet at the ankles, sit back on your heels, swim your feet out to the side, whatever. The paths are many, the truth is one. We're coming down to a seated position. Extend your legs out in front of you, bend your knees if you need to. Inhale, reach your arms out and up, Paschimottanasana. This is your seated deep forward fold. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Your hands might find your feet, we don't care. Roll your shoulders back. Inhale, pull your heart forward. Get a long, strong spine, and then you exhale to melt down a little bit more. On your inhale, slowly walk your hands back up your shins to bring your shoulders over your hips. And you might scoot yourself slightly forward. Let your hands come down by the side body as you roll yourself down one vertebra at a time. And once you're down on your back, hug your knees in towards your chest for just a moment. And then drop your feet down to the ground about hip width distance apart. Toes and knees point at 12 o'clock. Bring your hands down next to your hips. Root your feet down. And with your inhale, lift your hips up into the sky. Find your bridge pose, Setu Bandhasan. If it feels okay to kind of wiggle your arms underneath your shoulders, you can. You could make a fist below your sacrum. Keep breathing here. Lift your hips. Press your feet down and away. And then exhale to let it go. One vertebra at a time. Let your hips come down to the ground. Your arms come out like a T, palms face down if it feels okay, up if you need. Take an inhale. Exhale, hug your knees in towards your chest and then drop them to the right and turn your face to the left. On your inhale, come right back through, one knee at a time, through center. And then exhale, drop your knees to the left and turn your face to the right. Ideally, both shoulders stay heavy, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay. Just try not to let anything tense up. Allow for your breath to continue to move fluidly through you. On your next inhale, bring your knees back through center, nice and slow. Exhale, hug your knees in towards your chest. You can bring your forehead up to your knees for your full wind removing pose. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, just open up into your Shavasana. Moving to the last song in the playlist if you're not already there. Let your legs extend forward. Your feet hang comfortably open. Your arms down by the side body, palms face up, and your fingertips, they kind of curl ever so slightly in towards your palms. Allow for the sensation of the bottom side of your body to be grounded and rooted. While the top side is light, it's weightless and floating. And rest. What you need is to be here a little bit longer. I want you to tune me out and stay right where you are and rest. If you are ready, you'll begin to deepen your breath. So wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then with your inhale, float your arms up overhead and find your full body stretch. And then you exhale, hug your knees in towards your chest and wrap your arms around your shins. And you can rock over to the right, or you can roll up to your comfortable, easy set just right where you are. It's up to you. We'll all meet there. Cross your feet at the ankles. If you're moving out of your practice, sit up nice and tall. Take that last moment, that pause, to ask yourself, no matter what arises, can I touch it? Can I be with it? Can I hold space for it right? Because that's going to determine how I enter into an experience of liberation. So thank you all for joining me for this practice. Have a great rest of your day. Namaste.